India's Prime Minister secures, with the aid of allies in his coalition, the numbers to form a government and stay in office. But a resurgent opposition has yet to concede, rendering the makeup of the country's next government unclear. And for more on that story, we're joined by Ananya Vajpeyi. She's an associate professor at the Centre for the Study of Developing Societies. Professor Vajpeyi, it's unclear right now. So we've had Prime Minister Modi say he will be sworn in this Saturday. The opposition yet to concede. In principle, could anything happen between now and Saturday to stop that swearing in of the Prime Minister actually happening?
Well, this election is between two coalitions. One of them led by Prime Minister Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, and the other one led by the Indian National Congress under Rahul Gandhi. As of now, the BJP coalition, which is called the NDA, has more votes. And if all coalition partners agree to stay on board and go ahead with forming the government, then they can clearly do so during this week. However, if the BJP's allies decide that they would rather go with the opposing coalition, then that could change things, and we might see a very different government.
Well, this new government, earlier we spoke to our correspondent in New Delhi, and she said one of the requests or demands, depends on how you want to see this, by these two key allies, so that's the TDP and the JDU, kingmakers we're calling them, would include, for example, that the Speaker of Parliament be a person of their choice, and that the Home Minister, who is a very close ally of, not ally, he's risen together with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, they want to have their own Home Minister. Now, these demands, if Mr. Modi does not meet them, these allies, in principle, might not stay with him and might instead decide to join up with the opposition alliance.
It's possible. I mean, they certainly have a set of demands. They will want some key ministries. They will want some important positions in government, both in terms of the administration and in terms of how things appear to the public and to the outside world. It depends on the BJP and Mr. Modi and his party, whether they are able to come to any kind of understanding with these king-making parties, the TDP and the JDU. Since they have fought the election on a common platform, I think it's safe to assume that people have voted on the understanding that these parties will come together and form an NDA government. So it may not be that easy for the smaller allies to switch sides, but on the other hand, they may decide to drive a hard bargain, and Prime Minister Modi is not used to and not known to, function in a way that builds consensus, takes people on board, and makes concessions in order to get along with a broad spectrum of quite different allies and parties. So far, he's enjoyed very large majorities, and he's basically not had to be answerable to anyone or to give in to anyone in order to go ahead with whatever his government's agenda has been. But this is going to change, and he's going to have to learn to live together and work together with others who have very different ideological orientations than he does.
Even in forming this government,
and
you are
he may
saying
have strong demands.
Yes, he is, according to you, a steep learning curve, even in the forming of this government, before he even is sworn in as Prime Minister. As we look ahead, so economic reforms, promises made on foreign policy, as an example. Now, the Modi government ties with Pakistan hit essentially nadir since 2019. Ties with China, despite that clash in 2020, They have kept up with economic, trade, diplomatic relations with China, but Pakistan and China, whatever moves that Mr. Modi might have wanted to make in this third term in office, is that, I suppose, the scope of his action likely to be checked by this weaker mandate in government?
Well, anything he decides to do, whether it's domestically or internationally, will have to take alliance partners on board. That is a given. And that means there will be a change in direction relative to how the government was pursuing its foreign policy agenda for the last 10 years over 2 terms with a clear majority. So there could be a change in direction. I think that relations with Pakistan have been particularly at a low ebb, and that needs to change, in fact. Everybody needs to come on the table and resume some kind of dialogue and some kind of peace process. Otherwise, it's bad for the region as a whole. And as far as China is concerned, I mean, it's India's biggest and most consequential neighbor. And the two countries are almost comparable in population and in their importance in global geopolitics. And they share a huge international border, which has been disputed from a long time. So that needs to change.
All right, thanks for that. Professor Ananya Vajpeyi from the Center for the Study of Developing Societies in Belgium.